Hey everybody, welcome to my office. This is the first time I've had the chance to talk with hundreds, if not thousands of people in my office. It's going to be a little crowded here today, but I'm excited to talk to you about Culture Index. And Culture Index is a great survey. It is statistically valid. It's really, really good stuff. Businesses use this, churches use this. It's fantastic, and our leadership absolutely loves this right now. And it's a way to introduce us to some great and spiritual conversations we're going to have. I want to start though with what it's not. Culture Index is not a spiritual gifts assessment. It is not the perfect tool that's going to exactly tell you exactly who you are and who you're going to be. We recognize that this is a snapshot. This is talking about who you are, what your personality traits are, where you lean, but not where you have to be. By God's grace, He's got all kinds of plans for you, and we want to listen to the Holy Spirit and follow His leading along the way. Nonetheless, I want us to go ahead and take a look here over my shoulder. We're going to dive into some of the detail about what Culture Index can have for you. So this is what you get to see when you're one of the people that kind of oversees this program. This is Northside Christian Church as a whole. This pie chart shows a variety of things. And we know that of the 19 different types, there's social, there's visionary, organizational, and research. Those are the mega categories. And within those, there's 19 in total. The social one can be broken down this way. We've got the socializers, the rainmakers, persuaders, influencers, and debaters. And there's a lot of people that are in this socializer circle. You might be one of those today. In general, though, we can dial into any one of these things and begin to look at specific people and where they fit on this grid, this map, this pie chart. I want to do a quick deep dive on who I am, and I'll kind of pull my detail out of this thing so I can kind of be exposed here in front of all of you. I'm known as a specialist, and I wouldn't have guessed that. I'm one of those people that needs biblical community right now because I like to think of myself as more of a generalist, but I've been labeled as a specialist. That's mine of the 19 patterns. I'm a specialist. And here's the survey traits for me about my innate wiring. Down here is the job behaviors, and each of you should have one of these by now. If you don't, you can certainly go and fill this out. It takes about 10 minutes. So my survey traits. I want to look through these super quick, and I know it's going to be fast, but it'll help you to understand yours a little bit better. We've got the red dot here, and the red dot is about autonomy. And all these dots that I describe are in relation to this red line. This red line is based on how many words that you've chosen when you took your survey. If I used most of the words, I'd be over here somewhere with my red line. If I used very few, I'd be over here. As it is, I didn't use very many, but I used enough to be statistically valid. So autonomy. I'm not one of those people that has to do it my way all the time. I'd be over here. I'm one of those people that can do it my way. I can set the agenda or I can follow an agenda, and I don't mind following one as long as it's clear. And that does sound like me. The yellow is really about social ability. If I'm to the right of the red line, I tend to be more extroverted. To the left of the line, I tend to be more introverted. And it's not simply right or left, it's the distance from the red line. If I'm 4 or 5 points away from the red line over here, I'm an extreme extrovert. We have some on our staff. We have some in our congregation. In my case, even though I'm to the left, I'm still an introvert, but I'm not a dramatic introvert. That'd be over here somewhere. The blue, that's about pace or patience. And I tend to talk a little faster. I tend to react a little faster. I'd rather have a lot of conversations than one slow one. A counselor might be over here somewhere. Maybe that's you. And then over here, this is more about wanting to align, wanting to follow the rules, being dutiful, playing within the box, within the boundaries. And this tends to be me. I tend to be somebody who wants to follow the rules, and if there aren't rules, I tend to make them. And down here, we would look at the job behaviors and how they relate to who I am naturally. And the conversation for you and your groups tonight is going to be to talk about the differences. An example here would be that my green is really far over. I'm very high conformity with my green, but I don't know that my job requires high conformity. And so there's a disconnect there that maybe is worth talking about. I think that I'm supposed to be more extroverted than I actually am. You get the idea. And so you've got your own, and you can look at those and you can talk about those. None of us are experts in our life group, but this might be a good conversation to have. Am I a specialist? What does that mean? And when we lack some of the detail, we can scroll down here, and every one of you should have one of these by now. This is a trait summary. A variety of paragraphs that explains who you are, and these are precise. This isn't just a carbon copy for anyone who's a specialist in those 19 categories. Different variations come for each kind of specialist based on your score. And so this really is quite precise and it's quite exposing. Again, we do this in community because community matters. In fact, community matters so much that we didn't want to give this to the general congregation unless they were in a life group, because we don't want individuals looking at this and wondering without some sort of context. We want this done in biblical community. We want to have these conversations. This isn't the last word. God will have the last word. But this is a word to help us to realize how we're wired, and then to have the conversations about how we dovetail this into ServeFinder and finding ways to serve within the church, Northside Christian Church. What I'm confident of is this: we're a better church because you're serving and actively engaged here. And so I look forward to hearing about these conversations. I look forward to finding out where you're wired, how you're serving, and how God gets the glory. Thanks for putting up with us. Thanks for being a part of this. We're excited to see what's next.